added into that process a formal risk assessment evaluation. This, again, is in the world of not very exciting when you do it right, very exciting if you happen to do it poorly. Very exciting for me. Finally, facilities. We have consolidated in one person and one group all our worldwide facilities management, acquisition, and build-out. We're moving very rapidly to co-locate people, particularly in the 9 locations where we had overlapping offices, and we believe that by the end of Q2, 4 of those 9 overlapping locations will have all of the employees of both that came out of Whitman Hart and that came out of US Web CKS co-located in a single location. Communications, key issue. We need to communicate to our employees to bring them along with us on this journey. Very early on, we commissioned Hewitt & Associates to do a cultural audit. They communicated electronically with approximately half of the employee population of March 1st. The good news that came out of the survey, that came out of the audit, is that we got empirical evidence that validated our gut level feeling, which is that the cultures of the 2 companies are not radically dissimilar. They're very similar in terms of what is interesting, what's not interesting, what people expect to get out of a career at their employer. That allows us to be free as a management team to concentrate on moving the combined company forward rather than spending our time converging 2 radically dissimilar cultures. That's not to say that there weren't hot spots and that there aren't hot spots. 2 that were identified very early on in the process revolved around benefits. Whitman Hart had a particular provision to their 401k plan that was much beloved by their employees. US Web CKS similarly had terms of their employee stock purchase plan that were a big benefit from the employee perspective, and everyone seemed to be a bit concerned that one or the other of those would be taken away. Out of the cultural survey, out of some other meetings, we identified those very quickly, popped out with an email to the employee population, said, you're going to get them both, it's going to be great, best of both worlds, issue checked off, done, avoided a hot issue that could have become a substantial kind of burning fire. Pre-close. We brought 150 of our top managers to Orlando, Florida for a meeting 4 days before we closed. We equipped them with tools. We showed them the vision. We went through early versions of this presentation that you saw today. And we commissioned them as effective evangelists to go back and tell the employee populations with whom they were individually close about the benefits, about the opportunities in the merged company. I sat in on 2 or 3 of those presentations back in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I can tell you those managers were pretty charged up and went out and put their personal stamp of approval to a large degree across the company on this opportunity, and that is critical to getting the buy-in from the employees all the way down the line. Brand launch. We're here today launching the brand. We've made an extensive effort to communicate on a teaser basis, on a preview basis to our employees. Lots of emails, interesting ad campaign. Last night we had a toast at 12:15 a.m. East Coast time, the launch of the new day with some of our key managers to whom we had sent champagne around the world to join us in a toast of the first day of Market First. In our view, ambiguity and confusion are the enemies of progress in this context of the merger of US Web CKS and Whitman Hart. We think that quick integration is the key to avoiding ambiguity and confusion. Mike Barrett and his group, in terms of integration, have done a tremendous job of identifying all of the issues. And from a management perspective, we're setting those issues up. We're taking them one by one in a methodical approach, knocking them down, checking them off, and then we're done with them. We've accomplished a ton of stuff in the last 23 days. There's lots more to come. We're embarking on a journey, and we would invite you to come with us as we march first. And at this point, I'd like to conclude my presentation and introduce to you our panel participants. Russ Nash, who is the group executive for our Southwest group. Ian Small, who is the chief strategist for March First. Bob Tipton, director of technology. And Mark Frankel, executive creative director for the Northwest region. Thank you.
Everybody comfortable? Yeah. We got the cool chairs you can't get up into and sit very easily in, so if it gets really, uninteresting or flat, one of us will arrange to fall out of the chair, and we'll move forward from there. So anyway, good afternoon. I'm Ian Small, as Bob said, Chief Strategist. What we're here to do, really, this afternoon, you've heard a lot about the power of this company and how we bring the new paradigm services model to our clients. What we're going to try to do now for you is to personalize that. And if we're lucky, over the next 25 minutes or so, you'll experience for yourself what it's like to work with our company, what it's like to be a partner with us. And you'll see why I think we're so excited about what we've got here, what we're trying to do, the ability we have to do great things for our clients, to work together, and also why our clients are so excited to work with us. And so we thought we'd do that with some of our senior staff and try and have somewhat of an informal discussion to really let you experience for yourself what we really like as a company. So you've heard our names, you've heard our titles. I think the best place to start so you can kind of get a feel for some of these people is maybe if we each spend a little bit of time talking about a little bit about our backgrounds and who we are and the kind of work we've been doing recently. Why don't you start, Mark?
Okay. I'm Mark Frankel. I'm the Executive Creative Director in the Northwest region, so I supervise the writing and design and advertising and marketing departments in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. I've been with the company for 4 years. I work on clients such as Apple, Pixar, Nike, American Express, Williams-Sonoma, and numerous B2B clients in the retail space and also in the healthcare industry.
Hey, Bob.
Okay. My name is Bob Tipton, and I'm sort of a freelancer inside of Whitman, marchFIRST. I'm going to have trouble with that. It took me a while to get it straight here.
Day one.
All right.
Freelancer
Glass of water for Mr. Tipton.
marchFIRST. Right.
My background, I've been with the organization for about 7 years, and what I do is I try to look 18 months into the future as it relates to where technology is heading, and then try to make sense out of it. There's a lot of technologies that come that are sort of gee whiz in nature, and they don't really help our clients make money. So part of my job is to sort through the options that are out there and see where things might be heading. I spend a lot of my time influencing the market in terms of its perception of who we are, what we do. I do that through speaking at numerous seminars, engagements, and so on around the world each year. I write extensively, and so on. In the past, I had my own consultancy. I had my own business that I actually sold to Whitman Hart 7 years ago. And prior to that, I was also the CIO of a very large distribution company.
Excellent. Russ, why don't you finish off here?
I'm Russ Nash. I'm the group executive for the Southwest. Previously, I was a partner at McKinsey in Los Angeles. I was one of the leaders of the healthcare vertical at CSC. And then most recently, I was co-leader of the West Coast for Mitchell Madison Group, which then became part of our combined entity, marchFIRST. The areas that I have focused on have ranged from strategy, new ventures, M&A, and operational performance improvements. I'd say kind of my passion has always been making things happen, really making a difference, tangible economic value for our clients. I have to say, with the capabilities that we have, we're going to talk about in the next 20 minutes, and you've heard all day, I've never felt more capable of accomplishing that. So it's a pretty cool time.
Great. Well, let's, I think the best place to start is one of the things that we do when we go in to our clients that we all kind of know instinctively happens, but people don't necessarily understand until they start to experience us is, a client has a particular challenge or a particular opportunity that they're facing with. And when we go in, we all see that challenge in a different way. So we see the same end goal, but we actually see the challenge differently. And I think, why don't we talk a little bit about that and what that means for us and what fun it is to do that, both for us and for the clients. So, Russ, why don't we go backwards?
Go backwards.
You start. I'll go forwards. If you can talk backwards, actually, that would be a real trick.
That would be a trick, and that might be what it takes at this hour, I agree. Well, I mean, it's the simple thing that I look at is how do we make a company excel? Now, that's obviously the simple goal. The challenge is how you really make that happen. Whether we're talking about a new venture or a new startup, or we're talking about an existing e-business that needs to significantly improve its performance to truly compete effectively in the marketplace and improve its economic value. And so we look at what are the right target markets, Have we defined our products right? Are we pricing them right? What's the marketing and distribution model? How do we achieve operational excellence? What alliances do we need to really make this work? How do we leverage our current assets, as Gordon had talked about before? I mean, those are really the areas we're focusing on. Where are the leverage points? What does it take to take the company from where it is today to one that truly excels in the marketplace? And that really is kind of the focus that we tend to take.
From a technology viewpoint, we go in and take a look to make sure that the organizations that we're working with have an infrastructure that they can grow with. We take a look at also exposure potentials. You know, part of this new economy means that you're susceptible now. You're open targets for people trying to find a way to shut you down or to break into your most important assets. So security becomes a major issue as well. Other things that become critical to succeed going forward from a technology viewpoint have to do with being able to extend your architecture. So many organizations start with a very short-sighted viewpoint. They do everything they can just to get up, just to launch. And everything beyond that is something that's supposed to be magic. It just occurs at some point. The more forward-looking you can be at the beginning, the better off you're going to be. And as we'll talk about later on, I'm sure, the challenges that the creative aspect, the user experience that's coming forward, the ability to do something new in the user experience, that really puts pressure on your technology infrastructure. So we're faced with looking at the legacy, which in some cases, like one of the customers I was talking to, our clients I was talking to on Monday, they have 1 million lines of assembler code running in 370 architecture, and they're trying to do something new with a new economy. Well, that legacy infrastructure, something has to be done with it.
You've got a small hurdle, you're saying.
Yeah, it's a small hurdle.
Just a small hurdle.
But the integration point becomes critical. So we go in and take a look from a technology viewpoint, how to succeed now and also how to grow into the future.
And, you know, our job in the creative and marketing department is not only to stress the technology guys out a lot in terms of trying to figure out, you know, really how do we create, you know,
is that the primary goal?
It works.
It's not the stated goal, but it often is.
It's a sub-goal if you can check it off along the way.
Yeah, exactly. You know, in the creative and marketing group, you know, what we do is we think a lot about brands. You know, it's a bit of a tired word, or it's been used by a lot of people in different ways, but you know, John Barber came out and talked about Toys R Us and talked about, you know, the advantage of that brand even in the marketplace, even though they weren't, you know, the first movers into that space. So, you know, we work with, you know, an incredible array of clients, you know, from Apple and Disney, where you've got very strong CEOs who know exactly what they want and what their brand stands for, to, you know, people that you know, that have an amazing new idea, that have gone to a VC, that are creating something from scratch that never existed before. So, you know, our group really spends a lot of time thinking about, you know, kind of the emotional qualities of how people connect to the brand, of trying to figure out how to actually get to your consumer, because in the end, you know, if we build this amazing technology solution, which we will, you know, it still has to go out and people have to come to it. So we think about that, and we do think about the experience, you know, quite a bit, because again, in the world of new media, you know, the experience is in many ways the brand, you know.
Yeah, to use a metaphor that somebody at our kickoff meeting down in Orlando talked about, you know, as technologists, we're like engineers. We want to be able to build something that goes from point A to point B, and our whole mission is to get there from point A to point B as quickly as possible with the fewest breakdowns possible and so on. And the metaphor that was put forward was the notion that instead of just driving from point A to point B, maybe you want to take a drive by the beach.
Right.
Maybe you want to have some sightseeing along the way, so your experience is very positive.
Right.
So playing those two off of each other, I think, is how we kind of look at things.
Exactly.
So what we see going on is that our clients, the needs are changing. I mean, what we saw 2 years ago is different from what we're seeing today. Sometimes the clients don't even know exactly how things are changing. They kind of know what they want as an answer. They know their objective, but they don't know what it takes. How are you guys seeing sort of client needs changing right now? What's changed over the last 12 months?
Well, you know, I think in the case, again, of, you know, going back to John and Toys R Us, I mean, we won that business pretty recently. And, you know, when we went into that pitch, it was really clear after...
Is John still here?
John, are you still here?
Good.
Okay, good. I can say
All right,
anything I
here we
want.
go.
All right, good.
Let's tell the real story.
Yeah, the real story. I mean, no, I mean, essentially from a creative, who's laughing over there? Yeah. From a creative perspective, what was really interesting is that here we were with this client that obviously had, numerous problems and quite a bit to overcome. Again, from just a brand perspective, I mean, they were the sort of the whipping boy for everything that went wrong last Christmas for e-commerce.
They were the Y2K of the e-commerce business. Lots of headlines, yeah.
They were. So really, we went in there and realized pretty quickly that, the branding and the marketing solution was only a very small fraction of their problem, and that really there were all kinds of other problems, from technology and operations and strategic issues with the brick and mortar stores. So, I think what we're facing from the creative marketing standpoint is that our assignments are kind of spilling out into these other disciplines, on a fairly frequent basis. And, a lot of times we'll be with a client who's telling us we need a new print ad, and then you actually spend an hour with them and you realize that they need a whole new technology, not a print ad.
Supply chain.
Yeah.
Make it more basic even. Bob talked about Bemis Manufacturing. That happens to be one of my customers. They're in Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin, and they make a really useful product, as he talked about. They make toilet seats. They also make patio furniture and so on. Their two largest customers happen to
Yeah, what's the relation between the two?
I'm getting
There may be a hybrid there.
Do they make tables or just the
It's
chairs?
extruded plastic, okay?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
a similarity.
Whatever.
Okay, enough said. Anyway, their two largest customers happen to be Home Depot and Walmart, two organizations that are giants in their particular industry that are driving Bemis Manufacturing to do things that are unnatural for this organization. So for them, it has to do with what business do they want to be in. That's the biggest challenge that they're facing. For 100 years or so, they've been making things pretty much the same way. All of a sudden, their two largest sources of revenue are telling them, you better be in a different business. The challenge is, organizations like this, they tend to be a little bit clueless about what to do. They're frightened. I mean, they've been doing the same thing for a long time. How do you make that shift? How do you move forward? So, like Mark says, what we're seeing is spilling out as well into what business do we want to be in and how do we succeed?
And how do you, and really, what's the proactive solution? I mean, I was sitting with a CEO several weeks ago of a very large healthcare concern, and this is a very successful company that has outperformed the vast majority of other healthcare players. But they have been, they were falling into the reactive mode because versus being proactive in terms of what should we do in terms of leveraging the internet in our e-businesses. They're having so much come at them because they have a very attractive asset. A lot of customers and a lot of information. And, to make that transition to really sorting out what's the e-business or set of e-business initiatives that are going to truly skyrocket our company and our valuation is a big deal. And a lot of companies are in reactive mode now because they have to be. And that shift, I think, is a big one. And now this CEO is highly energized. Put together an interesting challenge, actually, as well, because kind of looking for help on sorting out the strategy, he looked at our set of capabilities and said, and we're going to get this, and I think it's fine, because we're going to show them it's real. And that's now a client. But he said, no one has done what you guys are claiming to have done and will be doing in the future. He says, no one's put together truly the technology, the creative marketing, the strategy, and the operational improvement in a way that's integrated. And if you can do it, and he showed his healthy skepticism because that is his style.
He's entitled to healthy skepticism, and we're entitled to show we've done it, right?
It will be truly distinctive and awesome, and we're going to do it. And
he's a client, right?
He's a client, and we're showing him that we can do it, and he will be the ultimate test.
I think that's really an important point. I mean, the customers now are looking for confidence. They're looking for proof of concept. They're looking for a partner, and they're looking for somebody to help them that's done it. I mean, there's so many organizations out there that talk about doing it, or they do a certain piece of it, but going from end to end, I like to think of that sort of like primordial goo of the business. They've got an idea that's sort of unformed, and it's this amorphous blob. They want to do something with it. Being able to take that and actually create something from that, give it life and move it forward, so the ultimate result is you're shipping goods. You're actually delivering things and printing invoices. So it's kind of this goo to goods sort of a metaphor.
Goo to good. That's nice. Yeah. We add DS
I can see that slide.
We've got it now.
They're looking for help all the way along the way.
What color should the goo be on the slide?
I don't know.
Yeah, and actually that notion of partnership, again, everybody says we're partners with our clients, but from my perspective, this partnership has really sort of like gone down sort of another level in terms of the real kind of commitment that you have. An example for me is we're working with Televisa right now, and we have done sort of the goo to goods, integrated approach with them, where we went in.
Someone trademark that quickly, please?
Where we went in and we came up with a business strategy for spinning out a Spanish language portal that would be for all of Latin America. We actually helped them find the real estate. We helped them create the org chart. We helped them start to hire. We did the identity. We did the logo. We built the website. And 2 weeks ago, we were in their office and talking about one of their alliance partners, which is Teléfonos de Mexico. 2 days ago, there's a picture of Bill Gates and the CEO of Teléfonos de Mexico doing a joint venture, which now makes them competitors. So, the last couple of days I've been on the phone trying to react to that. And so this idea of partnership, it's so deep. An ad agency says we're really partners with the company, but then they come back and they say, well, that'll be 3 months for your ad campaign, and we're not sure if we can help you with all these other issues. And with our clients now, we have this very deep connection where they pick up the phone right away. So
what's coming down the pipe at our clients? What's going to be happening to them over the next 12 months in terms of even newer needs?
Well, I think there's technologies out there that we're just now talking about that are going to be real a year from now, and it's access to a large degree. Right now we have a lot of uncertainty about how we're going to get this wireless thing figured out in the U.S., but obviously there's other places in the world where they're doing a pretty good job with it, Europe being one.
It's amazing.
We have some lessons to be learned there, but the challenge comes from an application deployment perspective. If we actually use these wireless devices to access things that we're currently using some sort of a fat device to do, or we're used to some level of performance and some level of user experience and some level of security that's my device and so on, it really shifts things back to a different technology infrastructure. The complexity exists in the server. The complexity exists in the data center. The good news is business rules are there as well. The disaster recovery is there as well. The good news is that you can use a hosting facility or an organization to do that. The good news is that we're going to have a lot of consistency in our application deployment. But I'll tell you what, for the average person working in technology, it's a major shift in terms of their mentality. So that in terms of access, and also, I keep going back to this, what business do we want to be in, and how are we going to, what's an experience like on one of these devices, and Mark will talk about that. That really puts pressure on the technology folks to deploy something that can grow, can change, has strong security, runs all the time. Simple objectives, it really becomes very difficult.
Right. Yeah, I guess from a creative and marketing standpoint, there's a couple of things that we're talking to our clients about. The wireless device is obviously, I think, going to be very, very big pretty quickly. And it's really interesting, again, from a creative perspective. My background is, I started off in advertising, so I'm used to TV commercials and full video and all that. And when you look at a wireless device and you think about translating a really rich experience that we have or that we associate with the brand and putting it onto that number of pixels on that tiny of a screen,
not as good as Nintendo. It's nowhere close.
It'll be better someday than Nintendo. It really will.
Yeah.
So it's kind of exciting to think about, again, doing work, whether it's an ad or a website, and being able to kind of come up with enough elasticity that it can end up on a wireless device, and someday when broadband is here, it can live in that environment too. I also think that that from a marketing standpoint, this is a pretty amazing era in terms of there are now more tools for communicating with people and communicating your product and communicating your ideas than there ever have before. So that's like the good news and the bad news, is that the media is just sort of splintered.
Yeah.
But again, from a creative point of view, our favorite thing is to go to somebody and to say, this is what we want to do,
Deliver it.
and we want to see it, tomorrow or the next day.
Right.
So
Prototype
as a
today.
prototype,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So.
Well, while we're sorting out all the new technologies and all, I think there's, and there will be many, and I think it will create lots of opportunities and challenges. I think also a very important trend that is occurring for a lot of e-businesses is they are very quickly learning that this is very challenging to truly perform at high levels as a business. And we're moving towards a lot of hybrid businesses that kind of leverage both the existing brick and mortar distribution and assets along with leveraging the internet. The pure plays are finding very quickly that top-notch performance requires a lot more than a great site and attracting a lot of people in and communicating a lot of great things to them. You have to deliver operationally, and plenty are not. And so that fits perfectly, I think, for us in terms of serving our clients, because we've actually been great, I think, in getting a lot of great e-businesses up. We've also got a lot of experience in improving performance. Really, we're very well positioned, and what we're going to have to work with our clients on is taking existing e-businesses, reshaping them, and taking them to the next level. And that's a great challenge for us and an imperative for our clients.
I think that applies across the board.
Yeah, and actually we were talking about brick and mortar, you know, and I think that's another area that's really interesting from a marketing standpoint where, you know, we've been thinking a lot about how do we connect kind of the new media experience with actually the brick and mortar experience. So from a marketing standpoint, we've been doing a lot of work around almost what we call kind of temporary installations that somehow actually do start to connect the brand, you know, whether it is online or offline. And I think kind of as more, you know, old economy or the companies with assets, you know, start to leverage them, then there will actually be a role for the experience of the brand in the brick and mortar space. And, you know, lots of people are saying, you know, taking bets on whether Amazon will ultimately have a brick and mortar outlet. So
I think it's clear that we're set up coming into the next couple of years. Not we, economy set up is kind of like the revenge of the brick and mortar is coming. You know, and we've certainly talked today about different things. I mean, you know, the stuff that Gordon Buchanan talked about around corporate partnerships is very much around how you take these powerful existing businesses and really unleash them in this new space. And I think we see that too across the board.
Give them some new tools.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Give them some process re-engineering, give them some flexibility, some additional productivity that's implemented this way with a whole new market feel. You're right. I mean, they have an opportunity to dominate in ways that they haven't thought of yet.
Right.
The challenge is to be able to move the executives forward to a point where they can not only see it, they can also have the courage to act upon it.
Well, I think that's also where, you know, again, hopefully, you know, our marketing component comes in, because you know, you can sort of talk to the brain of the CEO, and, you know, you can sort of, sometimes they feel things in their guts, but, you know, a lot of times it comes from the heart too. So a lot of what we do is just sort of this emotional based thing. And I tell you, if you do the right, you know, like TV ad for a CEO, you know, like tears start to come out of their eyes. So that's when the technology guy comes in after that.
The only way I've ever gotten tears out of their eyes is, you know, pointing to very bad financial performance. But I think the CEOs that don't get it, though, within some reasonable time frame, won't be CEOs of those companies anyway.
Right.
Perhaps they'll be CEOs somewhere else.
That happens. So I guess we're coming to the end of our allotment. Let's wrap up a little bit. Let's sort of, we all know what a pleasure it is to work together. You know, we all know what fun it is to go into a client and have these just great minds in the room who understand what we're trying to do, who all think differently. I don't care who goes first. What does this opportunity mean to you? What does this company mean to you?
Well, I think one of the things that technology people really look for, and it's something that's not offered all the time, is to create something new. I mean, it sort of overlaps a little bit, but I think that people in technology are really excited when they have the opportunity to do something that's never been done before. And one of the challenges we've had historically is that we've never really been connected to the business before. We've always sort of been throw the project over the cube wall, come back, bring us pizza every now and then, check on us in a couple of months.
Open the door, throw stuff in, see what
right. And what tends to be there is this void, this vacuum between delivering business results and your daily activities. You don't feel like you're part of the organization. So the thing that really entices me, the thing that really gets me excited, and you know, I think that marchFIRST really delivers something we've never seen before in this respect, is that technology people finally get the opportunity to be just as important to the solution that's being put forward as anyone else. And that's something that's vital. That's something that's really exciting. In fact, if you look at it on a list of nice-to-haves on a job satisfaction issue, it's right to the top of the list. We want to be needed. We want to be appreciated. And I think the terrific thing here is we get to collaborate. We get to help find the process to move businesses forward. And again, this marchFIRST organization is fantastic in terms of what we're putting forward here.
Somebody go. Mark, you go.
Yeah, what does it mean to me?
Yeah, what does it mean to you?
You know, again, for me, I think I said earlier, I started off here in New York at Ogilvy and Mather and McCann Erickson and worked on big accounts like Coca-Cola and American Express. And and really kind of, again, sort of felt like there was something beyond these very traditional forms of media. And really, working at this company is this really amazing, opportunity. You've talked about that you want respect. We'll give it to you.
Thank you.
But I think the interplay is what truly is amazing. I mean, the idea that, that I can come to you with an idea of something that's never before been done, and literally in 24 hours you can prototype that thing, and we can look at it together, and we can make it better and make the experience better and faster and, again, more impactful and more emotional. I mean, I think that's, very energizing for actually a whole new generation of creative people, that are really coming out of art schools and coming out of, all these training areas, and just, they can't imagine a world of creative expression that isn't coupled with technology. So, it really is great. And then the strategy piece, I'm always amazed, in a room with the strategist and have to make sure that my jaw doesn't drop, hearing just kind of the way that things can be put together. And again, the fact that we can combine these things.
We want to touch your heart, actually.
You do?
Oh, it makes you feel.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm sorry. Okay.
You're still working on that. I want to touch your heart. Figure out where you can take that.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Personally, I guess I'm just personally extraordinarily excited. I think marchFIRST provides a great opportunity for a wide range of people. For me personally, I'm getting to work with a wide range of extraordinarily talented people. I'm actually getting to manage a much broader set and diverse set of talent that will be both challenging and very exciting. But ultimately for me, it's always, and it's, I feel like I've had a great career and a lot of opportunities. I do think this is the best opportunity that I have faced. And I really want to make a difference for my clients. And I believe with the kind of capabilities we have, sitting in these chairs and across all of our people, we'll do a heck of a lot better job on strategy than any, pure play management consulting firm can do. And we're ultimately going to deliver, and we're going to make businesses excel. I think we're going to have a huge impact on our clients. I think we're going to have a huge impact in the marketplace. And what more could one want?
Is that your final answer?
I think so.
I should say yes, Regis. Anyway, I need like a single color tie, I think.
That's pretty close.
It's close. That'll do. I think this is what it's about. Our company's people. Our company's people doing great things for clients. Our company's people having a great time working together. You may think that we stacked this panel. You may think, oh, look, well, here's these three guys. The answer is we could do this with a wide assortment of people up here. And I think that's what makes it so fun. And every one of us who works in the company, all the group executives who are out there, they know they can put together these kinds of teams to send in to our clients. Teams who are excited about working together, teams who are excited about doing things with clients. I hope you've gotten a feeling about what that means to us and what that means for our clients. Let's say thank you, Russ. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mark. And I think we're going to sign off now and toss it back to Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. It is a hugely tough path to follow, but you know what? I'm up for the challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you, because I'm coming to the end, so it's so simple. I just want to thank you very much for coming today. We are pleased that you can spend the time with us and obviously take this precious time away from your activities to be with us. Today we've introduced to you marchFIRST. You've met some of the leadership team that will power and drive and fuel the company going forward. We've shown, I think, hopefully you a glimpse of the new brand. And we've given you a peek at how we're going to set the tone for the entire industry, this whole new paradigm. You've heard about the beliefs about what it takes to lead in the internet economy. And hopefully that you've got a better understanding that we have demonstrated that we're built to deliver services that clients need. You heard about the ToysRUs.com. You've heard about the Aetnas, the Williams-Sonomas. We've got something here that's scalable, that we can tackle leading-edge challenges around the globe, and that we can make a difference. You've seen the kind of work that we do and how that we're set up to cross-sell, to pull through, and that we are literally a machine in both of those categories. And we've shown you how our market-leading integrated application services offering is at the sweet spot of the market, the heart of the market, where the market needs to move. And we've shown you how we're going to attack that market. We've briefed you on Blue Vector, our joint venture company and investment arm, and we've shown you how it works with our employees, which is a critical component of our success there, and our clients, and ultimately you, our shareholders. And we've introduced to you our corporate partnership practice, which focuses on obviously working with global 2,000 companies to help invent new businesses, to invest in them, to take them to market, to make them better than they are today. One of our newest clients has told you what's going on out there and why, critically, obviously, the best pick on the planet, at least from their client's perspective, which obviously we're not going to come up here and have them talk about one of our competitors, but at least from their perspective, why we're the best company. And most importantly, we've shown you our business architecture. And this is a really dynamic model, and we want to make certain you understand how we're thinking about our company and the dynamics around that and the benefit that it brings, obviously, to our shareholders, our employees, and to our clients. What we've just shared with you is only what we define as the blueprint for our new company. It's the blueprint for a new kind of company. It's a company that combines what I talked about all day today, and that's the imagination that we have, the rigor that we have, the passion, as well as the reality. And I think it was demonstrated as the four gentlemen just walked off the stage a few minutes ago, and everything that they talked about, and the balance between the strategic thinking, the cerebral thinking, the emotional thinking. It's an interlocking architecture, which really includes professional services, application services, funding, alliances, spin-ins, spin-outs, as well as an incredible client base that we can leverage and take those to create better companies as we move forward. An interlocking architecture that delivers the total solution that serious people need if they want to seize those opportunities that are out there that are presented by today's economy. A brand that we believe is going to set the tone for an entire new industry that others will follow. We're building, again, a machine that redefines services businesses. And we're finding new ways to generate values to our clients, to our employees, as well as to our shareholders. And what's really, I think, more important than any of this is that we've only begun. We're not even done yet. So keep your eye on us, because what you've got now, what we have now, is hot. But what we've got cooking over the next couple months is going to blow your mind away. March 1st is truly an invitation to lead that no one should refuse. I want to thank you for being a part of today's events. My management team thanks you for participating. They thank you for being here to listen and to understand better what they're doing and how they're impacting our business. And what I'd like to do is please invite you. We have an incredible martini bar set up on the 50th floor. So if you just go back to where you were for lunch, and those of you who didn't make it to lunch that would like to join us, right behind me are the elevator banks, and there will be ushers that guide you up there. We'd like to share with you in a little celebration, talk a little bit more offline on Q&A so that you can get out of your chairs and we can discuss some of the critical components that we talked about, that we kind of queued up or teed up here today. And I really want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for your support of March 1st, both today but going forward in the future. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gents, turn up your sound system to the sound of Carlos Santana and the GMB product Ghetto Blues from the refugee camp.
Maria, Maria, she remind me of a West Side Story.